Welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show. And after a brief hiatus where Stu went to the most expensive place on earth, and I did my best to match him by going to California, we are back. And as you can see by our banner, joining us today will be the senior U.S. Open and senior Masters champ, Tom Hess. How was your trip to Disney World?
It was great. It was great. I had a great time.
Yeah,
Brady had a good time. It was all good. We switched. We got to unplug. Hello, Mr. Eddie. How we doing? Yeah, we walked a bunch. So I ate like shit and I didn't gain any weight because I walked about 5 miles a day or 8 miles a day or whatever the hell it ended up being. So yeah, it was a good time. The weather the last day was atrocious, but we were in Animal Kingdom and we got drenched. And of course, when it rains in Florida, it's super, super awesome. So anyway, let me just have a quick focus. What do you think of the board today? First it was Walter Ray, then it was Kelly, now it's Hess.
You missed. It was Walter Ray, and then it was.
Yeah. I mean, I've only got like a 2x3 chalkboard.
Walter Ray, and then it was Fagan, and then it was Doug Kent, and then it was.
Yeah.
You know, why narrow it down?
Your wife says the board sucks. I don't think she's talking about my penmanship. I think she's talking about the content. But anyway, I got back to bowling yesterday. It was a bit weird. Yes, there he is, the man this is completely his fault. FD.
Yeah, FD.
Fucking 4-pin. God damn
it. That's what I'm going with. Carlton, good to see you.
So, I went and threw a few shots yesterday afternoon to, reacclimatize myself with bowling. And then I got to bowl league last night and the league bowler's back. 8-11 last night. Let's go.
8-11?
Yes, sir.
Well, what'd you do it with? This is what everybody wants to know.
Oh, yeah. I did it with a burner solid the first two games. I went 257, which was atrocious. And then I bowled a pretty good game and shot 299. And then I knew I needed to change ball, but didn't. I went blower 710, blower 710, messenger took the 10, changed to the Zen Master, moved about 10 left and struck out. So I was on a pretty nice run. I had 1,403 for 5 games of league going into that last game. So I destroyed my average with that 255 the last game.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else that we've got before we bring Tom in? Any other pressing stuff?
Gosh, we did that. We bowled a couple tournaments. We're going to talk about that over the weekend. Ryan made varsity at Wichita State officially. I thought his chances were pretty good when he was leading the qualifying for the non pre-selects going in, but as they were want to remind him, he was 7th in makeable spares, and so which actually is somewhat of a feather in my opinion, because the lanes are hard down there, and if he can hit the pocket that much and we can improve the spare shooting. So
yeah, so he made it is the main.
He did make it. He did make it, and along with the Egan brothers, Mr. Hayes and Mr. Hooper were the 5 guys that were picked, along with the pre-selects with the Cam Horowitz, Keplinger, Nick Sommer, TJ Rock,
Bone,
Brandon Bonta, and of course Justin Bone
and Spencer
Robarts. Oh yeah, the 3-headed monster coming in. So basically, because they got their freshman year over, Ryan is a freshman. Cam Horowitz is still a freshman. He was junior gold champ. Spencer, Monta, and Robarge are all freshmen on that team.
And Bone.
And Bone.
So they should do quite
Yeah,
well.
I said Spencer twice. Is it Spencer? Yeah, they're going to be okay for a little while.
Okay. Well, one event that you missed this season was down at Lightning Strikes, but they have an event coming up this weekend. So here's a little bit of a commercial for them to advertise the event that they've coming up on Saturday. $5,000 for first. So there it is, the seed to table open, 5,000 for first, $125 entry fee. I don't think you'll find a better return on investment than that. I can assure you that even though Dom was in the commercial, he won't be there. I believe that picture is the pictures of people who have won his previous events. So you don't need to worry about bowling against Dom. Although some people would say you don't need to worry about bowling against Dom, period. So they'd be wrong, but you know.
Well, I think we've left him waiting long enough, and he's been pretty impatient when it comes to winning as of late. So at this point, we'll bring in I believe he's a 10-time Midwest Regional champion. He is a Masters champion, and he is now a Senior Masters, Senior U.S. Open, Senior Rookie of the Year, and Senior Player of the Year. Friend of the program. Not so much of me. I'm Hess.
What do you mean not a friend of you? You've been pretty easy. You've been pretty kind to me here the last couple of weeks. I appreciate it.
I didn't have much say in it, to be honest. I think you missed 5 times in the 3 games that we bowled against each other.
That was a pretty incredible run.
Really, and it goes back further than that. If we take it back in the Midwest swing, what was it? It was Hammond and then Anderson.
Hammond and then Grand Rapids.
And then
Anderson and then Jackson.
And Grand Rapids, you made the show.
Yes.
And then Anderson, you made the show.
Yep.
And then the next week in Jackson, you led, but then had basically a disastrous match play to miss that show. And then the next 2 are the U.S. Open and the Masters, which you led both of in qualifying. And with the U.S. Open, that mattered. And then the Masters, you led and then still got back there, which is not really very easy to do. Historically, that top seed has not been a precursor to success in the Masters necessarily.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of pressure going to the matches, being the number 1 seed. You know, I'd had such a good look all week, and you know, when you're just bowling qualifying, it's easy to get relaxed and make good shots. But all of a sudden, when you get to those matches, that big lead that you had doesn't mean anything. You know, a couple bad shots, a couple untimely bad breaks, and you're out of the event.
Yeah, it doesn't take long, and at one point, people were kind of calling you Felix there. You had multiple lives. You kept surviving. You had a big match there in the winners bracket. Was it round 2 or 3? Round 3, I believe it was. Your first 2 you cruised fairly easily.
Yeah, the one against Ron. Yeah, when I step up in the 10th and I need a mark to shut him out, and didn't make the best shot. Left the 2-4-10, but did make a really good shot there to seal the win. You know, converting the 2-4-10. That was a pretty big moment to stay alive. Then, of course, I draw you in the round of 8. You put it to me pretty good as I missed a move on the left lane. We were kind of close. You know, after 2 games, you were I want to say 20 or 30 ahead of me. It wasn't,
Okay.
certainly not a devastating lead or anything, but yeah, I missed a move on the left lane and he went on to pound me, put me into the losers bracket. Then this is where the ups and downs and the emotions of this format really start. Got a bowl in the next round. I've got to bowl one of my great friends, Timmy Mack, and it was an emotional. I think it was an emotional match for both of us, to be honest. We both threw some really good shots. It was a tough pair. Ended up not being a very high scoring match, just 626 to 622. But I feel we both bowled a little bit better than that. And coming down to I could step up, throw a double for Tim to throw a double. I didn't. I threw the first one and missed, and now Tim needs a strike to knock me out of the tournament. And Timmy threw a pretty good shot, and fortunate for me, the 10-pin stood. Tough to celebrate right there. Of course, I'm happy for me, but as many people know, Tim's been battling lots of injuries and had to go get a shot in his shoulder to even bowl that event. And he doesn't know if he doesn't know if he's gonna get to bowl again. And to a guy who means so much to me, he's helped me early on in my career. Timmy was a big help, so that was emotional. And then here we go again. Got to bowl a guy that I've got to know quite well this year, Dan Knowlton from Florida. Dan and I have become, pretty good friends. We hung out quite a bit this summer, and
I'm sorry. This is one of our regulars who bowled league with Chris. Alan's best known in Chris's house as the internet fix-it guy. Certainly not the bowler.
Every time I bowl with Alan, he shoots 700. I messaged him last night. How are you bowling? 170, 150, 180. You shot 700 the last time we bowled together. Did nothing to troll me the whole time about how you beat me every time we bowled together. And then you've lost 100 pounds and you're still not shooting your weight.
So I just wanted to quickly flick back to this Jeff Phillips comment. It says, we all want to be Hess talking outside on a gorgeous day with the trophy behind him, living his best life. I feel like this comment is kind of interesting because heading back 6 months, Tom, not to be disrespectful, but with the way that you'd been feeling and all of the ups and downs you'd had over your career, did you ever think that you'd be sitting here with someone saying, we all want to be Hess?
To be honest, no.
No, I'm just saying that's a cool turnaround because I know the ups and downs you've had. You're always prepared to, we're all gluttons for punishment and we all get, kicked in the face. But I admire how much you can, throw away those, not necessarily bad results, but the things that, you feel like injustices and continue to, keep going.
You have to. I mean, this sport has given me so many highs, so many lows. I've had so many heartbreaks. Take back to, back when there was an exempt tour. In 2010, at the RPI, I finished second to Brian Smith to earn an exemption. I'm going to be exempt for the next year. Decide, with that left, there's 6 events left. I get a sponsor. I go out and I bowl the last 6 events. I win the Masters. Now I'm supposed to get 2 years of exempt. I can finally do something I've been dreaming of my whole life with somewhat financial security. Fast forward to the next year when it's supposed to start. Boom. No exempt tour. They decide that they're getting away from it. You want to talk about devastating heartbreak there. That could have been life-changing for me. And I fought through it. I pretty much bowled, still went out semi-regular, I would guess, was was fortunate enough to have a job that allowed it, and bowled the best I could. And you know, I don't know. There's just, you got to keep going. It's been my dream ever since, you know, I was 7, 8 years old when my dad worked in a bowling center, and I was a bowling alley rat. I mean, you know, you dream of, you know, for 40 years I've been dreaming of weeks like, you know, months like I've had, and it doesn't, you know, the reward is definitely worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously, from my point of view on that match, I was obviously rooting for Chris. But if anybody was to do what you did to him, I can't think of anybody I'd rather it be. I do want to tell people a little bit, for some of the people who don't really understand Tom, because
oh boy, here we go.
Necessarily you don't understand Tom, but you don't know Tom. So Tom is one of the hardest people on himself, and you get yourselves in some odd situations, don't you?
Yeah,
but you can laugh at yourself. And I've got 2 stories that I think that people would really, really appreciate. So I bowled the tour trials back in like 2009. And
in Detroit.
I think I'd met Tom a couple of times before, but I was bowling with Tom. And we bowled the first day on cheetah together. And Tom's pretty good on the short patterns or whatever. And how long ago this was, I was using a black hammer, and I was the only person in the bowling center using urethane on the short pattern. Everybody thought I was nuts. That's how long ago this was. So anyway, I'm bowling pretty good, whatever. And Tom's like getting kind of frustrated. He's still bowling pretty good, and I'm like, Tom, I mean, fuck's sake, give yourself a break, you know. You look like an asshole, like getting this upset on the first day. We've got 40-odd games to bowl. And Tom's like, I know. And he puts his big arm around me and he goes, well, you just saw me hit myself. Imagine how hard I'd hit you if I hit myself that hard. And then he just looks at me and I go, and Tom goes, yeah. And then walks off and takes his shot. So that's one story. And then, remember when we were in Oklahoma, me, you, and Oscar at the blackjack table?
No.
Oh, this one's a great one. So Tom, we bowled the first day of the whatever it was, the summer swing, whatever bullshit tournament we bowled in Oklahoma. It was definitely a 2-tap, you know, fake World Series type thing. And Tom had come dead last.
Oh,
for the old
yeah, that
thing,
was on
right?
Wolf. Wolf.
And he'd got pissed off his last shot, and he'd thrown his plastic ball, and he got like 6 or something, and he'd been pissed off. And he ended up being last by 1 pin. And he sat at the blackjack table, God, I can't believe I was last. Last. He goes, I'll tell you one thing, I won't be last after tomorrow. And Oscar, you know, plays his blackjack hand and turns to Tom and goes, I'm sure somebody will pull out, buddy.
yeah. Oscar, leave it to Oscar to make a guy feel good about himself.
And Tom turns to him and goes, nice fucking friend.
Curious question from the chat. Tom, have you ever put yourself in the PBA concussion protocol from hitting yourself?
You guys, you're not gonna believe this, but I actually got fined at a PBA event because I 4-pinned to lose a title match and smacked myself upside the head, and somebody called the PBA and turned me in, and I got fined. And I paid it, but I still think it's bullshit because I didn't kick a ball return. I didn't kick a scoring unit. Somebody's been known to do that. I won't mention any names. But you know, I'm hard on myself. You know, I'm not hard on the equipment, and you know, I actually, Dennis Bergdorf was interviewing me after Anderson, and that's all he wanted to talk about. And I looked right at him and I said, you know, I'm tired of talking about it. Okay, everybody knows we don't need to talk about it, and that's one of, you know, that's me. I mean, that's what makes me me. That's why I'm me. Is there, but I'm working on it, and it's getting better. And you know, when guys want to joke about it, I can handle it. You know what I mean? I've got wide shoulders. If you're picking on me, you're leaving somebody else alone. That's what I always say. But yeah, I mean, it looks stupid, but it's effective. My strike percentage after I do that is about 95%. What you know? Let's talk about it again. Let's talk about Anderson as we're talking about. In Anderson, the first 4 games, I can't get out of my own way. It's unbelievable. 170, 190, 170, 190. I can't make a shot to save my life. 9th frame, game 4, I throw it awful. I smack myself about 4 times upside the head, step up in the 10th, throw a double, and don't bowl 200. Don't bowl under 200 the rest of the event and make the show.
All I'm hearing here is Tom Hess's advice to young up-and-coming bowlers: smack yourself around the head.
Well, no, don't smack yourself, but don't kick ball returns, don't hit scoring units. You know what I mean? That's why I do it. I kicked the ball return. The proprietor came up to me and said, "The ball return, throw a bad shot. You threw the shot. You want to punch somebody? Punch yourself." Okay, so I started doing it.
So Linda has an interesting question. She says, "Can you talk about your mental struggles and the pre-shot deliberate routine you have? Was impressive to watch. Maybe a little faster pace next time, wink, but amazing to watch."
I'm glad that Linda brought that up. So I think a lot of the recent success for me has been mental. I think the talent's always in there. Just figuring out how to get it out. I'm going to backtrack a little bit, as Chris brought up in Anderson, in Jackson. I led qualifying. I bombed them. It was pretty much me and Larry Verbal, and the rest of the field was kind of separated. And went into the position round day. Didn't bowl awful. Didn't bowl good. Didn't bowl near as good as.
Rick Bernard says, "Big
Thanks, Rick.
With a bowling
you keep
ball
putting all those
attitude
posts up when I'm in the middle of a thought and I keep losing my track. But anyway, so I bowled all day not to bowl myself off the show. What do you do when you're thinking about not bowling yourself off the show? You bowl yourself off the show. Took it very hard. Had a nice talk with Parker Bone after that. Parker had beat me 3 events in a row that he went on to win. So at the time I'm bowling great, but I can't get past Parker. He knew how devastating that was. That was a gut punch. Fast forward, we get a couple weeks off. I go out to California. We lead, and then I learned from that. I went. All I thought was lead this, not make the show. Lead it. Then I got a message from Sean Rash, who Sean and I are pretty close friends. That really sunk in after I led and I had the 1 game to bowl, to just practice like I have to run the ladder. And that really sunk in. So during my practice the whole time in California, prior to bowling Chris, I was the number 1 seed. I have to watch all those. Every shot I threw, I went through my routine. I wiped off my ball. I took a deep breath before I stepped on the approach. I did all that, and I practiced like I was going to have to run the ladder, not like I was going to bowl 1 game. And that really sunk in that, that might have been the best game I've ever bowled for what was at stake. I'm bowling a Hall of Famer to win the Senior U.S. Open. I knew Chris wasn't going to, I knew it was going to be a tough match. I knew I was going to have to perform. So now fast forward to last week. That's all I thought about the whole time was my process. Trust my process. If I trust my process, the results are going to be there. I don't know if everybody looked, but the way it's set up at Samstown, there's some tables in the back that I sat at the table all week long. But the way they set up the TV show, there was people sitting there, so I couldn't sit at the table. So I sat 1 pair to the right of where we're bowling, and I tried to do everything the same all day long. I walked around the scoring unit. I picked up my ball, I wiped it off, I put my towel always on I put my shams always on the scoring unit. Always took a couple of deep breaths. Linda said, it could have been faster. I'm normally a pretty fast bowler. When it comes to qualifying, I pick up my ball, I get set, I go. But there was you know,
Angela's
it
not
was.
on TV this year. You were fine.
You mean Chris didn't pull the Norm Duke?
I didn't put him on the clock.
I don't think it was that. I don't think it was that slow.
No, I
just.
don't think so either. Actually,
It doesn't matter. Don't let the truth get in the way, Tom.
well, that's fair.
Hey,
That's fair.
hey,
No,
hey.
the thing that she was referring to, and we talked about it too, is, I mean, you're a high energy guy, and on TV shows like that, the hardest thing to do is to manage those emotions. And the one thing you never did was, I mean, you managed your most common mistake, which is gassing one, getting amped up and throwing one through it, and you never did. And you did maybe one against Pete, like the second match, and after that, you just put it on him. You threw a 6 or 7 bagger at Doug and basically wiped him out. We were thinking 220 would be a pretty good score watching the first two games, and then he shot 220 and was shut out with 2 frames to go. And then you had strike spare sheet against me, and then you come right out the next game again and get out to a big lead, and I couldn't knock the corners out, and Doug couldn't either. But you managed your whole. I mean, the energy level fluctuations is tough to do in that situation, and I thought you did a great job of managing that and your shot repetition and controlling that, controlling your miss, so to speak. I thought you did a fantastic job of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and a lot of that, for the Master Show in particular, goes to, I took Parker to the airport Saturday night, and we had a nice talk. I don't know if anybody, I missed 4 10 pins on Saturday during the qualifying matches, and I hadn't missed 4 single pins all year. So when I took Parker to the airport, we had a nice talk, and he told me some stuff that he saw Saturday as he was watching a lot of my bowling. We bowled a lot of matches kind of close to each other, and that in particular, one thing I was doing at my spares was I was just setting up and going. I wasn't taking that pause. So I thought about that on my spares, and he said every time that I threw a bad shot, it was because I popped up. I didn't stay down. So the 2 things I was keying on was 3 things was the deep breath. You know what I mean? Staying down at the line and pausing before I shot my spares. And it all clicked and it all came together, and it was a great result. Part of managing the emotions. I mean, there was a lot at stake. We both knew it going into that stepladder. I would say another key to my success is I wasn't thinking about all that. I tried to think about the next shot and tried not to get too far ahead. And like I said, it ended up in the culmination of what truly is a dream season for me.
So just from what you were saying then, I think that the key that I took from that with you're talking about your spare shooting. I think the key that I took from that is for everybody at home, it's not necessarily what you focused on, that specific thing. I think it's more about focusing on something when you're shooting that spare. I think that most people have a good enough technique to make spares. I think that most people miss spares because their mind isn't focused on shooting that spare. Their mind's just whatever. Like they're just going through whatever, just go up and throw at it. And I think that having something that you definitely think about when you're doing it, and that could be, hey, make sure I get my left shoulder close to the target or whatever, if you're shooting at the 10 pin, it doesn't matter. But having something that you think about that triggers you to be able to keep in the process of making the spare rather than just like, oh, well, I didn't strike that shot, and you go up and then you miss it. And then you're just like, damn. He was actually talking about Ryan at this point when he said that.
There's, we were talking about, we didn't quite get to that match. Dan told me he'd give me some lessons in spare shooting. There's, we were talking about the ups and downs of Saturday. By all means, bowling my match against Dan, I should be out. Dan needs strike 9 spare to beat me by 1 pin. goes strike 4-pin and then misses it, you know. And then we came up to have some. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem. You're popular.
Yeah, that was
Answer it,
actually
John. They can be on the show too.
So, but
Yeah. Well, I think Dan's 4-pin goes right to what Stu's talking about. There's a lot of things going through your head right there, and Dan's an excellent spare shooter. He doesn't miss much. You know, in the situation, there's a lot of guys that might have even hooked at it because the lanes weren't particularly hard at that point. He could have hooked at it, probably made it. But he shoots him with a blue dot. He does it every time. He makes it all the time. But that's a distraction getting in your head of what you're, you know, and interrupting your regular routine.
I'd be interested to hear from Dan as to whether, because I feel like part of the reason he missed it was because he threw a bad shot the previous shot, and his mind was kind of taken aback by how fortunate he was to get 9. Because in real truth, he should never have got 9 from that shot. And I think that sometimes if he'd have thrown a really good shot and 4-pin, like, you know, you playing those angles, you'd have just been like, okay, all right, good shot. Just go through the motions, make the spare, whatever. But you kind of like, you throw it and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? Oh, great, I left the 4-pin. Okay, let's go. Oh shit, I missed it. And it felt a little more like that than it did necessarily like he just, you know, I don't know. It just felt like watching it that once he got fortunate to only leave the 4-pin, that started off a chain of events that led to it. Because it clearly wasn't that he was nervous because I mean, that's the wrong word to use, but it wasn't like it was like, oh my God, the moment's too big for him, because then he went into the roll-off and he threw 3 fantastic shots in the roll-off. I mean, you guys were insane. I mean, that was unbelievable that happened. But like I say, I don't know. You obviously can't get in a guy's head, but it just feels like that's part of what led up to it. He was, oh my God, how lucky did I get? Oh, I'm going to win this. Oh, no, I'm not. That's kind of how it went.
Yeah, there is a whole lot of emotion sometimes in that shot right there where you throw it and you go, oh no. Oh, good. You know, even though you ended up at the same spot as you started before that shot, the swing in between does get him into it. If Dan's still on, maybe he'll comment a little bit on it.
Yeah.
But
you know, to be honest, guys, I got to be honest, I wasn't even looking. You know what I mean? I thought for sure I was done there. You know, Dan and I have become such good friends. I couldn't root against him. I just turned my back and listened for the crowd reaction. And
you got to
you want to talk about having to make, you know, I mean, from both of our standpoints. I'm standing, you know, 10, 15 feet away from that pair thinking I'm out. You know what I mean? I think I'm done. And then all of a sudden you hear the gasp. Now I have to regroup. You know what I mean? Because I've got to go up now and go make good shots. You know, after, you know, in 20 seconds thinking you're out to, hey, you got to choose an order, you got to choose a lane, you got to go make a good shot. And then you know, I threw 3 really good ones. One was fortunate that the head pin hit the 10. Dan and I talked about it afterwards, you know, and he says, you know, if you don't carry that 10 pin, you're out. And, you know, maybe throwing a strike to tie and throwing a strike to win is 2 different things. So, you know, to be honest with you, I felt awful for Dan. He's such a good guy. And, you know, I thought 100% I was going to make that shot for the win. Of course we did. But
he left it, and I was sitting in the back and said, I've shot a few of these 4-pins. I shot one to win the U.S. Open, and that thing might have been like the old 100-foot lane in Reno. It was so far away. And
oh yeah, my first TV show in 2009, I made the mixed doubles with Laura Hardiman, and I missed a 4-pin on TV, and my family and everybody still gives me a hard time about it. Ended up not costing us a match, but I mean,
maybe not so much now.
how many thousands of 4-pins have we shot at, you know, and you just got to go through your process and take care of it. And, you know, I got fortunate. I mean, you know, he got a dinner out of it. I took him to lunch on the way to the airport yesterday.
He got a shit sandwich from Barn. Oh dear. Oh dear, that's definitely made it. So just let's briefly chat about the bowling balls. We obviously are all on the Storm brand. So what did you use? Let's give a shout out to the bowling companies. You know, what's been your go-tos the last 2 weeks in winning the US Open and the Masters?
Well, at the US Open, I threw. You're gonna love this. So the first day of qualifying, when they transitioned, I went to an X2. I drilled one that's pretty strong, $25,000 helmet. I had a pretty strong pin up, you know, 4.5 inch pin, X2 that I used, and I had talked to Mitch. Mitch B was our ball rep through that. You know, I'd like to give a shout out to Mitch too. He's made some great ball and layout suggestions throughout this whole season that has led to a lot of success for me as well. But I talked to him about drilling one with a little bit taller pin, you know, read it a little bit quicker. And I was bowling the morning block, and then he came up, so I talked to him about that. And then on the second day, that X2 didn't look as good. I ended up throwing a Zen through the only 300 of the event at the U.S. Open with the Zen. So after we got done, I decided I'm not going to drill that ball. I don't need it. It didn't look that good. And then ironically, you know, here we go back to Dan. I had to run Dan to the airport up in Sacramento. He decided to fly home because he owns a business down in Florida that's really busy. So he needed to go home. And on the drive up to the airport in Sacramento, we're talking about it. And I'm like, you know, maybe I should go ahead and drill that ball. So I called Mitch. He happened to just be done getting qualifying. He went ahead and laid that out. And that ends up being the ball that I used to win. And I almost didn't drill it. I switched it with 4 games left to go in qualifying. Bowled 783 games, 13, 14, and 15 of the match play round. And then when we get to the TV show, I went and grabbed it with 1 shot to go. I didn't think they were quite there. I wasn't as far left as I had been with that ball. I didn't think it would roll good, but I went ahead and threw it 1 shot. It looked pretty good, and I had a lot of confidence in it, so I went ahead and threw it. So I used an X2 to win in California, and then
I have something else to be unhappy with Dan about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna make you hate Dan by the end of this.
Oh, it's not. It's not that big a stretch.
Then going to
Dan.
And then going into so fast forward to the Senior Masters, the first day of qualifying, I led qualifying. I threw 1 ball the whole time, and it was a pin down Zen. Went 211 over, threw it pretty much all 6 games. So I was talking with Jimmy after that, and you know, I went ahead. I drilled a couple of Zen Masters, but I wanted to drill a Zen Master exactly like that Zen, so we did that. The second day at the Masters, I had a bowl on the burn, and ironically, you know, they really did not. I did not get that far left. The oil held up pretty well. And on the burn, I used a little bit of everything. You know, I tried some stuff. Got most of my pins with a Rotor X1, the RSTX1 on that block. And then when I came back and bowled the middle block, I pretty much threw. I talked to Jimmy. We had a strategy. I went and got a whole I bowled a really good first game throwing the X2. Then we decided that let's play around a little bit. Let's try some other balls and see what might work in case we get there in the matches. And all of a sudden, I wasn't bowling good. I wasn't making as good shots. And I thought, you know what? I took a deep breath. Of course, leading's pretty cool. You want to lead. So I decided to go ahead and go back to doing what I like to do, which fortunately the lanes wanted this week, and I bowled 260 with the Zen Master the last two games to lead qualifying. Then getting through the matches, from it was the pair-to-pairs in the matches to me were quite tricky, and I threw a lot of different bowling balls in the matches. I threw realities, I threw Zen Masters, I threw Zens, threw the X2 some. But on the show, when we get to the show, I started my first match was with a pin-up reality. I thought that would blend the lane the best, with them being on the fresh. I had the right lane hooking way more than the left lane. I felt I was able to just, really let it go on the right lane and project it, and I had plenty of recovery. On the fill ball against Don, I threw the X2 on the left lane, which was a tighter lane. I threw it really good, came off the spot really good, ran him over, so I decided to go ahead and go to that. My match against Pete, I went ahead, I threw the X2 on both lanes. Had a pretty good look on the right lane, struck quite a bit on the right lane, but with that left lane being tighter, it was kind of hard to trust it to get it to go. In all reality, I got fortunate that, in my opinion, the most gifted bowler to ever put his hand in a bowling ball didn't get lined up and only bowled 180 against me. I only bowled 2-0 against Pete to
Simonson was bowling.
And then
Texas Jesus.
Sorry, I
okay.
digress. Go ahead.
That's okay. So then on the fill ball against Pete, we went to that pin down Zen Master on the left lane, and the rest, as they say, is history. I threw the pin up RST X2 on the right lane, a pin down Zen Master on the left for the next three matches, and I went 260, 270, 230. So very, very fortunate to come away with the win against that Hall of Fame stacked field.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, you shot 230 because you were too busy crying to strike out in the 10th.
Chris, I mean, we talked about earlier. I'm an emotional guy. You know what I mean?
No way.
There's a lot going on.
Well, I'm not casting any stones. You just get to do a victory lap every time you bowl me at the end. It's hard to bowl, with your eyes clouded over.
Class act. You know what I mean? I was standing off to the side, and you said, "What are you doing? Get over here!" And I mean, there was more than just that win. You know what I mean? Rookie of the year, player of the year, back-to-back majors, all of that. I wasn't even thinking about any of that. I had no idea that I was only the third person to win the Senior U.S. Open and the Senior Masters in the same year. I did know that I was the fourth to win the Masters and the Senior Masters. That I did know because people were talking about that.
Who are the others?
To win the Walter Ray, Chris Warren, and Dave Sutar have won the Senior Masters and the Masters. And was it Pete and Walter to win this? I can't remember. Yeah. Pete and Tom Baker are the only two to win the Senior U.S. Open and Senior Masters in the same year. Just to be mentioned, with those great names of the sport is truly an honor. And you guys have seen what's happened to me. You know what I mean? I was bowling on. Now it's funny. Everybody jokes. I call it the kids tour because now I'm 51. So all of a sudden those guys are kids and I'm an old guy. But it wasn't good. I mean, there was way more struggles than there was highs. And to keep fighting and to keep going, what I was most excited for I felt I could compete on this tour. Didn't know if I'd win. That's still a field full of Hall of Famers. And look at the rookie class this year. You got Jason Couch, you got Chris Barnes, you got Brad Angelo, you got Dan Knowlton. So many great players coming out. To even set a goal as rookie of the year. What do you?
Don Knowlton has been making all the shows. So
Don Knowlton. Okay, I'm not in on the jokes of calling him Don. I call him Dan. But what I was most looking forward to was just being able to go compete. Did I think I could win? Obviously, I thought I could win out here. Did I think it was going to be Player of the Year? Hell no. No. I mean, and then let's be honest. Chris had to make some choices. Unfortunately, he lost his sister and had to miss an event because his sister passed away. And he's still one of the best bowlers in the world, so he missed another 4 events to go bowl on the regular tour. Who knows? I mean, things could be different if Chris doesn't make those choices. But Chris made that choice, and it led to me getting Player of the Year. Thanks, Chris.
Chuck Ritchie said he was shocked at how well the Hall held up. I appreciate that, Tom. It's nice of you to say, but I had ball in hand, same as you did. We came down, we got to bowl 1 game basically for all of it, and you were the better man. I had 3 different chances. All I had to do is win one of the 3 games, and I didn't win any of them. So, yeah. I got my 4 losses on TV were 2 or 300. What was it? 250, 270, 230. I think it was.
Yeah. 230. What? Let's be honest. It would have been 250 if I wasn't crying.
Well, like your chances, yeah. So, yeah, Chuck says Chuck see how well the hole held up, never got left to 15 on the double burn. It turns out that if we're not bowling on 20 mils and we bowl on 30 mils, the lane does hold up pretty well. So that was 50% more oil than we'd seen pretty much all year on the senior tour. So, and we were only bowling 2s and 3s. It wasn't a big center there at Samstown, so we didn't have 4 in a pairs either. So, lane did hold up pretty well. Oh, Alan Riley, welcome back. Not like to night. Just didn't run over by the other guys on my pair. That's about right. So what's up next for you?
Well, I'm actually getting on a plane this weekend and flying out to California to bowl the Tony Reyes, Terry Leong over under doubles tournament with Sean Rash. Then taking a weekend off. The next weekend, the college tournament season kicks off. My daughter Megan's bowling for St. Ambrose, so I'm going to go up to Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, and watch the Midwest Collegiate Classic kickoff, I think is the name of the tournament. Then it's regionals for the next weekend. Then a local tournament, that Brandon Mooney and Tyler Turner put on, and then a couple more regionals.
There's a regional in Iowa there close to you?
Yeah, yep, down in Muscatine.
Yeah,
in honor of
a youth clinic on that.
Yep, and I'll be there to help out with the clinic. They're doing great work to honor Berlin, an Iowan who's won the TOC, former tour player. So I'll be happy to be there and do that. Then, just a couple of regionals and, hopefully, Chris, we've talked about it. I mean, it would be an unbelievable dream, end of the stream season to be selected to go represent Team USA in Dubai at the Senior World Championships. So,
and those World Championships will be November 18 to 26. I think it's through Thanksgiving. So
right through Thanksgiving.
In Dubai.
Yep. As you guys know, I'm a grinder, man. You know what I mean? I'm always bowling something somewhere. That's a big reason to my success. I don't take long breaks away from bowling. So, just a weekend warrior and just lots of traveling and bowling.
You coming down to see us in Texas before the end of the year?
I am. I'm coming down to bowl with Sean. in the over-under doubles down in Houston, and as of now, I'm set to bowl AJ again in the over-under 40 doubles. Maybe this time when I bowl a really, really bad game and he needs a strike to win, he can get the 8 out. That's been 2 years in a row I've bowled a bad game, and AJ can still throw the strike to win. He's stoned 8 twice for us to lose.
Mike Craig says, are you going to bowl Ron Moore's tournament in Vegas in November?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I have made myself ineligible for Ron's tournament. The first person on the waiting list will get in now. And I joked with Ron, at the start of this, that was one of my goals, was to be ineligible for Ron's tournament by the time it came around. And I was able to get that.
What are the rules for that tournament?
Any 3 national title wins. So I've got 1 on the regular tour, 2 on the national tour, which makes me ineligible.
Okay. Well, at least all 3 of them are majors.
Major Tom. From Tommy Fry to Major Tom.
Call in Major Tom.
Who wants to win those other ones? They're no fun. You're going to win a major, right?
Very good, very good. Well, there was one question there. Let's see. Your Zen Master, what did you do with the finish on that?
It was just out of the box. Then we'd lightly freshen it up, in between rounds if we needed to. Nothing major, just a little bit to knock the lane shine off of it to start the matches.
Alan, never afraid to make a shameless plug. Planning on heading down to DFW for the Texas Scratch Open, November 11 to 14.
Gosh, I don't know what I've got going on that weekend. I'll have to look. Probably not. There's, fortunately, there's a lot of good tournaments up here in the Midwest to not have to drive that far. But, my appearance fee is going up, Alan. What's my appearance fee to come down and support your events?
Oh, God, Johnny Big Bollocks here.
Whoa. All right.
That was just to Alan. That was a little shot to Alan. I'm not. No, it's
hey,
not.
In the chat, let us know if you want to listen to some Charlie Tapp stories at some point on this show. So, and for most of you that have no idea who Charlie Tapp is, he used to bowl on tour a long time ago. He has a few pseudonyms that he jumps in here with. One of them being Peter Griffin.
You've started it now, Tom. You're in demand. Jeff Hartsfield, he runs the Dirty River Singles on that's Thanksgiving weekend. He says you should come down to San Antonio. So that's another big event that's available. Alan says, I'll buy you dinner again. Sorry.
Deal.
Yeah.
Travis says, bowling talk aside, I would love to visit Austin and see Stevie Ray Vaughan's gravesite and see the part where his statue is and some other stuff. No idea what you're talking about. I understood Austin. After that, I'm out. Okay, Tom. Well, we're creeping up on an hour. We appreciate you coming on, even though you are Beef and Barnzy public enemy number 1.
What'd I do to you? What'd I do to you, Stu?
I mean, this was our breakthrough. I mean,
partnership here.
Chris had to pad his resume. I mean, it's just. I mean, it could have been a rookie of the year on both tours. Player of the year on both tours. This is like nails down a chalkboard for Chris right now.
Well, I'm calling it. He's gonna get player of the year on both tours.
I'm calling it that he's not getting rookie of the year though.
Nope, he's not.
Would have been the first person, as I understand it.
Oh, really?
Really?
Did not know that. Did
Yeah.
not know that.
So you took that off and Tom ripped it out of his dead grasp. So, is there anybody except your wife that you would like to thank, Tom? Because you better thank her, because she's within gun range of you right now.
Well, obviously, none of this happens without the support of my family at home. my wife Sue, my son Andrew, my daughter Megan. They put up with me being gone. The whole family at Storm, Bill and Barb Chrisman, what they do for bowling and bowlers in general is unbelievable. Ken and Kathy Keegan at I Am Bowling, as you can see, proud to be on their staff. John Nakashima with Vice, just I could look at the right side here. The guys at Bowlers Connection Pro Shop that do so much for me when I'm at home, that take care of me, make sure I'm prepared to go. I had some great ball rep help this year with Matt McNeil the first couple stops. Chris Schlemmer came up to Florida. Then Mitch Beasley. Mitch was a great part of my success this summer. Jimmy Callahan last week was great working with Jimmy. He believed in me. I believed in him. It was a blind call by Jimmy. I went up and asked him, what do you think I should go to on this left lane? Jimmy said, go to that pin down Zen Master. I believe in him. I went to him, went to it, and the rest is history. It's just, but what a truly dream season, for a guy who's worked so hard, driven so many miles, so many nights away from home to finally have it pay off in spades is just, it's surreal. It hasn't even really sunk in yet. I'm
sure it won't.
I'm a PBA player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
PBA 50 player of the year.
Your wife is coming off the top rope though. She first wrote the shit that she has to put up with, and then she said, 30 years plus with this guy, it's a lot of work.
She's not lying.
I'm sure
I've said in a couple of interviews, but it's funny. When I bowled Chris in the round of 8, I had called Sue right before that, and we looked, and there was a 5:38 flight out of Des Moines Saturday night. If I beat Chris, she was going to hustle to the airport. We were gonna fly her out, and Chris, put the squash to my wife coming back out to Vegas for another week. I decided to go ahead and beat me,
Chris.
And and she's been there to see me win regionals, and she's been there to see me win the fusions and stuff, the big tournaments around home. But for all 3 of my wins, she's been watching from home, and she says her joke is she's never coming to watch me bowl on TV ever again.
Man,
she actually said she doesn't know if she could handle it.
I was about to say, you need to put her on. How important does she think she is? I have this conversation with Linda as well. Linda said, "Oh, I can't watch Chris bowl this frame. He got a double when I was in the garage getting the food out." I go, Linda, I don't want to break this to you, but how important do you think you are? You're on the other side of the country. I'm pretty sure you have no impact. And then I laughed with her and I said, "Andy's already thrown that shot." She said, "What do you mean?" I go, "It ain't live. It's like it's got that the delay." I go, "It's already happened. If he's missing, he's missing."
Yeah. So, I think all 3 of us are lucky guys. I think we all 3 have great wives and great support staffs at home, and we shouldn't take that for granted.
I mean, my wife refused to come to the Weber Cup after a while. Chris was actually going to start paying for her to come. She came one time, and it was the first time I got back into Weber Cup, and we got the almighty bloodbath of all time. It was like 17-8 or whatever. There you go. Well, then the next year we started winning, so she's not been allowed back. Now we've started losing again, so I'm versatile. I can win or lose with her there. Well, actually, I can lose with or without her being there, is what I should actually say. I don't know if I can win with her being there.
All right, guys. Hey, Tom, thanks for joining us. I can't tell you how much fun this has been to relive those last 2 weeks again, as if they weren't bouncing around my head quite enough. So,
Hey, you said it. You're the one that said it when you called me when you were in Ohio. You can't beat me anyway, right?
Huh?
When you called me when you were down in Coldwater and you called and were thinking about coming up, and I told you to stay in cold water. You said I can't beat you anyway, so you already knew.
Talked it into Oh, damn it. There was something I was supposed to advertise. Sweep the Rack have got Chad Murphy on this week. Thursday night. Mike says that he's not going to give any softballs. It's going to be all. And I said, bullshit. Me and Chris will be going just like you did, giving us a hard time when we had Coley on. And he said, I called Chris Barnes a choker live on my show. Do you think I'm worried about what I'm going to say to Chad Murphy? And I said, all right, we'll see. So.
Oh, Brooklyn Rob?
No, Big Mike.
Oh, Big Mike.
So it's going to be interesting. I'm sure Chad is more than prepared for those two. But I will give Chad the credit that when someone asks him a question, most times he gives you a direct answer. You might not like the answer, and you might think it's bullshit, but he answers your question. So, yeah.
And there you have it. So,
we will see. I guess Chuck wants to put this in. I don't need no stinking Matt Murphy. I guess he walked into the bowling center without a mask on in Vegas. It was a thing apparently. So
yeah, I missed
he got
that.
asked to put one on, and I'm sure he did. So
Yeah.
oh well.
All right. Well, on that note, again, thanks, Tom. Thanks for letting me relive this moment. Although reliving shows is a lot better than reliving missing shows. So, we've all tried both over the time. So, I appreciate you. This has been overdue. We wanted to have you on last time, and didn't want to interrupt your Vegas vacation and your time with your wife. So, glad you could do it again. Super glad.
I can sense the sarcasm.
Yeah, great.
Guys, thank you very much for having me on. I hope you know how much I value both of your friendships.
You too, Tom. Take care of yourself.
All right, and with that,
have a great day, guys.
Join us today, and when you get a chance, please support the sponsors that support us. Storm, Rotogrip, Diner Global, Ice, Coolwick, 3G Shoes, Spoilers Mart, Mark Baker Bowling, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Ford, and Lightning Strikes. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy,